Next, Chef Doug showed me a delicious way to make salmon. He says it's something that any adventurous cook at home can do, using ingredients from the grocery store.
Next, we're going to be doing some salmon. And this is something that a little bit more skilled home cook would want to try. Again, it takes ingredients that you can find at the store. You don't have to be in a professional kitchen to prepare this. First off, we're going to do is we're going to poach the salmon, and with that we're going to get white wine. Now, poaching usually means completely submerged in liquid. This is almost like a half poach. It's halfway covered up the fish. A touch of olive oil, some butter, and some fresh bay leaf and thyme. We use a lot of different fresh herbs in this kitchen. This is our fresh bay leaf, fresh thyme. That's going to flavor our poaching liquid. Okay, once that comes up, we're going to place our fish in there, and that is going to get salt and pepper, always. Nice amount. Then we're going to place it on top, and then we're going to cover it, and it's going to probably take about 7 minutes to cook through. And in the meantime, while that's doing that, we can start on our risotto. We're going to be serving an asparagus risotto. And risotto is means a lot to me. I love risotto. It's an Italian rice dish that uses arborio rice. And what we've done here is we've cooked it al dente, about 3/4 of the way, so that when we do get an order for it, we can just cook it really quick and flavor it. Now, when it comes to flavoring risottos, you can do anything. I do a million different types of risottos. Asparagus is beautiful right now, so that's why I chose the asparagus. So what I have here is diced asparagus that has been par-cooked in boiling water. And I've also got an asparagus puree, which is asparagus that I've cooked down in chicken stock and then pureed. So it's gonna be folded into the rice, so it'll give it that nice green color. So we've got this to a boil now, so we're gonna go ahead, place it in there, and be careful not to splash up on you, and put a lid on it. Turn it down a bit, and like I said, 6 or 7 minutes, and that's good to go. Okay, so let's start with the risotto. Olive oil. Flame. Shallot. Shallot is part of the onion family. It's like a milder onion. They're smaller, and it's just not as pungent as like a yellow onion. It's much more mild. 1 tablespoon of garlic. We're gonna let that go. Then we're going to add our rice and our asparagus here. And in the meantime, to garnish our plate, we're going to use some sauteed spinach, and this will be placed on top of the risotto. So with that, we've got olive oil, shallots, a little bit of shallot. I'm going to steal a little bit of this into there, and that's just going to be a real quick saute of the spinach. See how we've got the movement going, starting to be able to see through the shallots. That's when you know you're ready. Okay, rice. This is enough for about 1 portion, and we add a little chicken stock. Get that all nice. Diced asparagus. Salt, pepper, and then at the end, when we're all done, we'll check for seasoning. And they're just now, the flavors are starting to marry a little bit. Let's check on our salmon. Let's see how he's doing in there. You can start to see it's getting a little cooked on the outsides there. That's perfect. Kick the heat up a little bit. All right, with this sauteed spinach, we're going to saute the shallots and the garlic with some pine nuts. Those have been toasted off. And give that a shake. Give our risotto a shake. And grab our spinach. This is enough for, I'm doing enough for one, but it's gonna wilt down quite a bit. So this may look like a lot, but actually it's not gonna be that much. And we'll put that back, give it a shake. I like to hit just a little bit of chicken stock so that my garlic doesn't burn. You never wanna burn garlic. Once you burn garlic, your dish is dead. It takes over everything. All right, and our risotto. Let's see how far? A little bit more. Okay. Sauteed spinach, salt, pepper. Give it a whirl if you need tongs. And what we do here at the restaurant, we add in a little feta cheese. Gives it a nice little bite, and it's a good melt. It melts into it pretty good. So our spinach is done. We're just gonna let it hang out. Put that right there. For our risotto, we're gonna finish this with our asparagus puree. About a tablespoon. And cheese. This is our blended cheese, the 3 cheeses, cheddar, Parmesan, and Gruyere. See how nice and green it gets? And that puree is just all flavor. It's just pure asparagus flavor that just makes it taste great. All right, and you can see we're about there. It's nice and cheesy. Gotta have a lot of fat, and when you cook risotto, once you add your fat, your cheeses, you want to let it rest, just like you would a steak. If you cook a steak, you want to let that rest so that the juices stay inside. That's what we're doing here. We're just going to let that rest. So next up for the sauce on our salmon dish, we're going to start with shallots and garlic. And what we want to do here is we want to infuse this oil with fresh thyme. This is thyme that we have chopped up, just the leaves. So we bring it all to a boil. The oil, the shallot, the garlic, and the thyme. We don't want to color. We don't want to add color to anything. We just want to kind of infuse that oil with those 3 items. And once it's kind of moving and we can start to see through the onions again, we're going to cut it and let it just sit for a couple minutes and just marry all the flavors together. And again, this is really simple. You can find all of these ingredients at a local grocery store, and just super delicious. This is actually, we put this sauce on our tuna dish for the dining room, and it's very popular. So now that we see all the movement, we're gonna just set that off to the side and let it just chill out there for a little bit. Meanwhile, let's take a look at our salmon, and we are there. So we're gonna keep that nice and warm to the side. And now that we have all the components of the dish ready to go, then we can finish our sauce. This is the only tricky part of this whole process is right now when we go to melt our citrus. So what I like to do is I like to have the plate built and then finish the sauce. So let's go ahead and get all of our ingredients back together. Bring them up to temperature. A little chicken stock to loosen it up just a little bit. Should be kind of runny. And our spinach. Bring that up to temp. So when it comes to plating, just give it a couple of tosses. And right in the middle. Beautiful. Then we're gonna top it with our spinach. That's got our nice and kind of melted-y feta cheese that's just gonna add a beautiful bite to this dish.
So is the hardest part about this dish what it looks like, or is it about the taste?
Always about the taste, first and foremost. Gotta be delicious. every chef has a different interpretation of food and what he thinks is beautiful or not. It's like an art. I like to keep things simple, especially when it comes to combining flavors. So this is how we do this one. So we're just gonna mound a little bit of that spinach right on top with that beautiful feta cheese. Right there. And that's gonna, okay, and then next up we've got our Schooner Bay salmon. Woo! Okay, and we gotta pick out the herbs a little bit. So here we have the risotto, the sauteed spinach, and the poached salmon. And then once you have your plate cooked, once you have your plate built is when we can finish our sauce. So now that we have the infused thyme with oil and shallots and garlic, we're gonna take lemons, limes, and oranges, just the segment and their juices. And we're gonna put it all in there. And this is gonna add a nice acid to the dish that's going to cut through all the richness of the risotto and the cheese. This is just gonna cut through that and kind of cleanse your palate with each bite. Always salt and pepper. That's one of the biggest things I see with home cooks is they don't season properly. Their palates aren't defined. And it takes doing something every single day, many times a day, to kind of define your palate. A lot of home cooks, their palates aren't adjusted enough to know when something's seasoned or not. Once we start here, it's pretty quick. The limes and the lemons are gonna break down first. The oranges are gonna stay whole. So right when they start breaking down, right when those lemons and limes start breaking down, we're gonna hit this with some parsley. And I wanna keep it kind of chunky. See how it's chunky? This is what I'm looking for. And then I'm just gonna dress the plate around. A little bit of this melted citrus. And this is just gonna complete the dish. Get little chunks of oranges, chunks of lime, chunks of lemon. And from here you can either garnish the top of the fish with something. Sometimes we'll garnish it with an apple salad or something fried to give it a little bit more texture. But for home, this is pretty easy, delicious, and anybody can do it. Bon appetit.